Hi YouTube friends, it's Bridget. Welcome back. In my pincushion video, I shared these sweet little kiss clasp clutches that I made, and they are so sweet. These are with Liberty, these three over here, and these are just other beautiful fabrics that I had on hand. And this is my personal collection. I made a lot to give away, and I did sell quite a few. They're lovely for weddings or bridesmaids. You really could just, so just a really, really special gift and a special keepsake to give to someone. So you asked me about doing a video, and here I am. And I am going to work on this extremely well-loved size. This is mine. I've used it for many years. You can see how worn it is. I've washed it. I've tried to limp it along, but I really feel like it's time to have a new one. So thank you for requesting so that I could make myself a sweet little new change purse. This is great for your credit cards, can fit in there. This can just fit everything in there. Just as a wallet. So that's what I'm going to work on today to show you how I do that. My supplies I'm going to use today are my outer fabric, which I'm going to do with Liberty. These two are very precious. I am going to make two because I always find if you're, working, you might as well just do two of something. It's just, it's almost the same amount of time for me. And then this is my lining fabric I'm going to use. I used this before. It's a little glittery. I love it. Who doesn't want to open up their little change purse and see some, glitter inside? Like, this is so pretty here. It really is a nice accent. But you can use any fabrics. These are lightweight. So I am going to use some interfacing. I am going to use SF101 ShapeFlex, and I use that in a lot of my bag making when I don't feel like the outer fabric has enough substance to it and I don't want it twisting on me. So I'm going to use that to back the Liberty fabrics. And then once I back the Liberty with the SF101, I am again going to back it with this. And this is the Thermolam Plus. Here I am again with it. It's very handy. As I said before, I have a lot on hand, and it's just a very useful interfacing, and it is good for when you are pushing this up into the frame in order to glue it. I have my HT2 Gooderman Creative glue. I have a screwdriver that will help me push the fabric into the frame. Some thread, of course. And I'm just going to go with my peach color thread, which I feel like will be suitable for both of those. You are not going to see the stitching. You're only going to see the stitching at a very small area, which is down here, which you don't even see. And you'll see that later as I put this little cute bag together. But first we have to make the frame pattern, the pattern of, for the fabric that is going into the frame. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how I made that. I made all of these patterns years ago, and honestly, I am not going to go ahead and do a geometry lesson. I am just going to show you, we're going to recreate my patterns for you so you will have the measurements. And this is how I went ahead and did that. So I basically am taking whatever frame size, I am measuring it, and that is a 4-inch frame. I'm measuring top to top. So I'm going with 4-inch here. This is a 4-inch by a 2-inch. I'm measuring from here to the end of this opening. So here, and I'm calling that 2 inches. These are forgiving. You're dealing with fabric. The metal's not forgiving, but the fabric is. So I'm going to go ahead. I just made myself a crisscross here, and I'm going to go ahead, and since this is 2 inches here, I am just going to go ahead and make a 2-inch mark for a guideline. And then on this pattern that I made, I'm measuring 1 3/8 inches down, and I'm just going to make another cross line. And now I know that this is 4 inches across the top. I am going to come out and make a mark at 2 inches here and 2 inches here, and I'm just making a little crisscross for my reference point. And then I am going to make a measurement at 7 inches here. And these are my patterns that I'm sharing with you. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here and here. Again, so this is 1 3/8 inches down here to here. This is 4 inches from here to here. And now I am going to make a 5-inch from my point of the top of the bag here, which is here, just coming down 5 inches. I need more room. There we go. It's 5 inches. This will be the bottom of my bag. And this measurement from here to here is 7 inches. So at the bottom, I just want to create a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to go with 6.5. So half of 6.5 is 3 1/4. So I'm making a mark here at 3 1/4. See? And then here at 3 1/4. Okay? So we've got those measurements. This is 6.5. And now all I'm doing is taking this just to give it some angle in the bag. And there we go. So this is my bag. So this is the body of my bag. Here we are. That's fitting in there. And then you can see that this is going to notch right into here. And it will all make sense. But the last thing I want to do here is I want to create, I like my little bag to sit up. So I want to create my bottom of my bag. And I'm just going to make some little 3/4 inch marks here. Here again. 3/4 here. Pardon me. And 3/4 here. And now I'm going to make a little boxed corner here. 1, and 2. And they can be a little angled, it's okay. You're just going to box your corners. I just found that that was a good measurement for me. Okay, so that is my pattern. That is my pattern for my bag. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Here is my pattern. And I don't know if you can screenshot this and take the information from it. That's what I would recommend. and you can just make your very own. I'm just going to take these little corners and ever so slightly knock off this edge. I just want to get rid of this little. Okay. I just want it to be rounded. It doesn't need to be angular like that. And this is for a 4-inch purse frame, which I think is a great place to start. I really don't think it's good to go big until you can figure out how to do the first one. I will put the links in the description. I found some of these on Etsy as well as Amazon, and you know, it's just they're the perfect size for a 4-inch, and this is the pattern you want to make. So now I need to go ahead and cut all my pieces out, and I'm going to start with this piece of Liberty, which is beautiful. We all love our Liberty. And I'm going to find a spot where and I'm actually just going to do this and right on the fold, and then I'm going to press it afterward. So I'm just going to take my rotary cutter. I've got my scissors here. I'm going to put these weights on here, and I am just going to cut my fabric. You know, of course, if you're using something directional, you're going to have to pay attention for that also. Take a little snip there. Okay. Just going to try to clean this up, and kind of want to get as precise as you can on these. I mean, this is probably a little bit of an overkill, but I'm going to cut 2 of my lining pieces the same way. Now I'm going to cut 2 pieces of my ShapeFlex. And then I'm also going to cut, these are just scrap pieces, so I think I'm just going to layer them up as well. And I'm just going to go ahead, and this is my Thermolam, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces of my Thermolam. I have my Cricut iron heated up, and I have my Cricut mat, my ironing mat. Any kind of ironing mat will do. I'm pressing the creases out of my Liberty here. And now I want to do my first step, which is taking the SF101, and it has a bumpy side. I am putting it down on my mat. And I am going to use a pressing cloth here. And I am just holding it over. I'm not sliding. I'm just holding the iron. It's very hot. Picking it up and placing it back down. I am not sliding. And I know this, I can feel this with my fingers underneath where the piece of fabric is. I'm going to check it. It looks good. Going to give it a little more pressing. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, it's good. And now I want to take my Thermolam Plus, because you want this to have some loft and some bulk so that you can have a good purchase when you're pushing the fabric into the purse frame. And so you want to give this some substance. And that's why I'm using the Thermolam. Okay, let's see how that went. All right, I have some more work to do here. So I'm going to continue on with making sure that these guys get down, and it's just going to take a minute to get it finished up. So let me go through that. And now that I have all the interfacing attached to the body of my bag, I'm putting my right sides together on my body of my bag, and I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here and here and here at the bottom, and I am going to do the same with my lining. I've sewn my lining and my body, and now I'm going to press my seams open with my tailor ham. I'm just going to try to get that in there and see if I can just press these open. It'll just make for a better product at the end. Now I want to box my seams for the bottom of my bag, so they're coming together very nicely, as you can see, and I'm just going to clip them with my Wonder Clips. Again, I'm opening up the seams, and I'm just going to go ahead, make sure those seams are nice and even, and I'm going to take them to my machine, and I'm going to do 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here, and that's going to create my cute little bag. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for my lining also. Now I want to put my bag together. That all came out very nicely. I can see that inside here it is perfectly aligned with the side seams. That came out lovely. Now I'm going to turn my lining the other way out, so it's right side, the right side of the lining, and that came out nicely also. Of course, the lining doesn't matter as much, but it's always nice when things come out nice and tidy. And now I'm going to slip this lining, so these are right sides together, and I am going to open this up and get my seams butted up right there. So those two side seams are aligned perfectly. And this is where the little trick comes in. So I'm doing that again on this side, opening up my seams, and I'll make sure they're open at the machine. As I'm going, I'll have my tweezers, and I'm clipping that. So I'm clipping right there. I'm actually going to give myself a little more of a clip here, just to keep everything nice and aligned. Here and here. I am going to go to my machine, and I am going to sew from 1 inch out from here. So here, back stitching, and then to here. And the reason I am doing that on each side is so that when you see this seam here, this piece will go in, and you don't want to see an opening. Sometimes it doesn't fit as perfectly as you would like, so you want that to be clean. You do not want any raw edges coming out of there. So I am going to go ahead and do that. So from where my thumb is here to where, so that's all I am doing. So I did my side seams here and here, and you want to err on the, this is probably a little too much. You want to err on the 1/8 inch. Mine's a little close to 1/4. But now I'm going to turn my bag around. And I'm going to insert my lining. I'm going to poke out those edges underneath. And you can see that's coming together very nicely. Again, I'm going to get inside. And I will say, incidentally, this is making the bigger bag is actually easier, but I really needed another small bag for myself. So, but working with something larger is a little easier. Just depends what you're looking for. So now I'm just going to press that. So get that right tidied up there. I'm going to press right there. And again, I'm going to get that folded in on itself. Right there. And now I'm going to take my cute little bag and get my clips, quite a few of them, because I want to always be as precise as you can, you know, because it's fabric. So whenever things start getting out of line, they compile on each other. Okay. And I'm just lining all this up, and I am going to go all around this bag, the edge. And I am going to go around with an 1/8 inch seam stitch line all around this edge. And I will be back. So I finished stitching all around with an 1/8 inch seam all around here and here. And I am just going to tidy this up. It's not as, I'm going to be sticking this in the edge of my frame, so I want enough of a purchase with the fabric as I can get in there. And that's okay. I'm just going to tidy this corner up. It's all fun. It's fabric, right? We always have more fabric. It's another excuse to buy more fabric. So now my next step is going to be adding my purse frame to my fabric body. So I have my glue, and I'm going to grab a rag, and we'll get started doing that. So now it's important for me to find the center of my bag on the side panel here. And I'm just going to mark it with my Friction pen right here. I just need to be able to see that. That's all I need. Marking that on the fleece. I can see that. And then I need to mark right there. I can see that fairly well, but if you can't, you can just take a little piece of washi tape and just make a little mark on the center there. Okay, and I'm going to be working on one side of the bag and then the other. I always like to have a wet one handy at this process. It can get a little nerve-wracking. This has been a long time since I've done this. So you don't want to get any glue ideally on the fabric, of course. So if you're nervous about that, you can always just take a piece of washi and put it down probably about 1/4 of an inch. You're gonna, that'll just help you if you're feeling nervous. I mean, I have done these before, and you get glue on, the frame. So ideally you don't get it on the bag. And so now I am simply just taking this glue and tapping it in there and trying to get the glue. And this glue is going to have to go tacky. So you have time on your side in this case. And I'm trying to get it in that channel. And that's what's so great about this nozzle. I'm just using the nozzle to rub it through there. And if you do try to decide to do these, they are awfully fun. Don't want to get any glue right there. I'm just trying to see and make sure. Oh, that's a big splooge. Again, great for the rag to be there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm awfully messy here. And now, wanting to make sure the right side, right? This is the side to put the glue in. I'm trying to make sure I can see that it's all in that channel there. And it looks good. And now I want to take my glue, and I don't want to get it down by my hinge there, but I'm just going to start and place the glue on the basically on that fleece. The fleece that I put, that's the Thermolam. And I can come a little further here, but I don't want to go much further. I want to stay like 1/2 inch away from that seam. Okay, now I'm going to close this glue up because I want to keep my nozzle clean. And then I'm going to wait probably about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and put this together. You want the glue to get tacky, and which means when you touch the glue, it doesn't come off on your finger. So we'll give it about 5 minutes and I'll be back. So my glue is tacky. You can see when I touch it, it's not coming off on my fingers. So now I want to slip this in, working the sides. There's already glue on the frame. You're just gently trying to slide it into the channel. It's definitely precarious. I don't know a better way to say it except that you have to just futz with it and get it in there. and use your this is bothering me. I'm just going to take it off. And this is where I'm going to get my screwdriver, my small flathead screwdriver, and I'm using my fingers on the back side too. And I'm pushing it up in there. Any tool that you find is good for pushing that up in there. And I want that to be, as you can see, I'm trying to get that side seam there, pulling it in. It's been a little while since I've done one, so bear with me. Oopsie. Okay, so that's looking good on the outside, but now I've got to deal with the inside here. So I'm going to push back my frame, and I'm pushing all of this up in there with my screwdriver. And like anything, you know, I mean, I made a bunch of these at the time, and after the first couple ones, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's been about 5 years since I've made one. So we're doing this learning to do it all over again together. It's quite an art. So, but I am pushing that in there. And this is where a lot of times folks will take the cording and use it as well to push up into that. So I'm using my fingers to push that fabric in there. It's good to have nails. And that's looking pretty good to me. And now I'm going to let this side dry for a good 20 minutes. And I'm going to come back and do the whole process on the other side. But I want that to dry, so that if I'm working on the other side, ask me how I know. If I'm working on the other side, this side does not come out. All right, come back when it's dry and we'll do the other side. I had some sewing to do, so this actually dried for a couple hours, and honestly, I think that's what I would do. You know, patience is definitely something to use in this instance, I would say, because if the glue is dry, it will help you in this process because you're going to be yanking around on this. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do this whole process all over again. The tapping in the channel. I've marked the center of my frame already. I've marked the center of my fabric. So I am just going to go ahead and do this process all over again and get in there. You know, you have to find the best way for you to manipulate the frame and the fabric. It is a little fiddly. So I'm just going back and forth again, and I'll just fast forward this. I'm just doing the same process though. And then I'm going to stop and let it get tacky and then put it in. My glue is tacky to the touch. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do this process again by slipping this into the channel. And I will say, you know, you don't, the great thing about having the tacky glue is that it's less inclined to get on the fabric. It will come off the purse frame. I wouldn't use a, you know, a precious fabric for your first one. I would practice certainly on something else, you know, but if it's like an heirloom fabric from your family or something. So I'm just going to fiddle with this and do the same process where I'm pushing it in on this side, and then I'm going to be tucking it in here as well. And I'll just fast forward that since we've already seen most of it. And when you're happy with all the parts of the body of the bag getting into the metal channel, this is a good time. Oops, I still see a little spot right there. Tiny, it's hard to see. Okay. And now you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there is some glue here and here, but I can simply take my fingernail or something else for that matter, but I happen to have a long thumbnail at the moment, which is handy, and I'm just rubbing that glue off before it dries completely. I'm just rubbing it off. And checking that the outside, there's a bunch there too. I'm just going to rub that off with my fingernail. I can take that off now too. I don't need that anymore. And I think I've used alcohol and a Q-tip before as well, but if you get it before it dries, you're good to go. This side had a lot more than the other side. And that's all there is to it. Now it's going to dry. I'm going to let this dry. I would let it dry for a couple days before I even thought about using it. I mean, I used to carry so much change in this purse. It was so heavy, but it stayed together. So, you know, it's just a great little process. And that's it. I couldn't leave you without sharing how to do a purse pattern for a different size frame. This one, you can look at the dimensions and you can create, and it works great for the 4-inch, as I said, and that's the ones that we worked on. But if you want to do a different size, like this is a 6-inch, and this, I believe, is an 8-inch, then you're going to have to draft a pattern. And I thought I would go through that quickly. And I made a center line on my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I am actually going to open this up and get my little tab for my strap out of the way. And I am going to make a line. I'm holding it. This is, you know, you must have this centered, you know, horizontally, which I feel confident that I do. I'm just going to go and, you know, you can make a line if you wish. So I've got a mark there. And now I am just making a line, and I'm making another line down here at the bottom of the hinge. Okay, so this is for the 6-inch that I'm working on. And then all you're going to do, so now you have this line. Okay, this is my hinge. And so now I'm putting this back. You can, you know, take that back and get this out of your way if you have a frame with a tab. And now I'm just putting that right back there. And then you want to angle it somewhat so that you get some volume to your bag. Otherwise, it's going to be straight, which is not going to be pretty. So to create the volume, all we're going to do is put our finger here and pivot it to where you want it to be. And let's see. On my other pattern that I actually drafted many years ago, it was roughly, let's see what we did. See, that's my angle there. So I think I went out a little further, but it doesn't matter. You can go out as far or as little as you want, but it looks so cute with it. And then you're just, with it having some volume to it. Okay. And so all I did, holding, again, going out, and then you want to do a new line. All right, so there we have that. Again, pivot. I'm just tidying this up because you do want to just, so pivot, make your new line, and then make a line down there. All right. I mean, this, can be cleaned up. I'm just giving you the basic idea. All right. And then that's my new line. And then you can get rid of this line so you don't get confused. And then you just want to add another 1/4 inch for seam allowance. So I'm just going to come down. That's about a 1/4 inch. And that's my seam allowance added in there. And I'm just working on one side. So you have that. This is your new line. And then you want to create a little bit of an angle to come back down through, like I did on this one. So all I'm going to do is first, I'm going to decide how long I want my bag. We'll just do this same pattern over again. And this is 6 inches. Of course, you're taking into consideration that you're making your boxed corners here, your bottom of your bag. So let's see. I think that was 3/4 of an inch. So let's just stay with that because that's a nice, let's do 1 inch. And then I'm just going to angle it back in, and you can angle it. It's not rocket science here. We're just going to make an angle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this directly in half. And that's right on my line. I'm going to cut my pattern. And then I can just simply go through here and trace. And now I will cut this. This will be my symmetrical pattern. And there you go. So that part is done. And then the only thing we have left to do is box the corners. To box my corners, what I want to do to create my pattern, this is 3/4, and I already have a pattern that is, let's see, this is 3/4 as well. I'm going to do one with 1 inch, and this will be my 6 inch frame with a 1 inch cutout. So I am going to go ahead and just mark this 6 inch frame. So I will have it. And now what I want to do is I just want to make a mark here for 1 inch. And this is just going to have a little bit of a better, maybe it'll stand up a little better. I mean, this is, it has nothing in it except for some tissue. So if you have your phone and whatnot in there, it will stand up. But I want a little bit of a better base. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this angle right here. Take your time, it gets a little fiddly. And I want to make sure that these are as close You could even do this with a piece of paper and it would be a little easier, and then you can make your master copy after that. And then I am going to fold this angle back on itself. Okay. And now I have my cutout, and you can put, and this is angled, so when it gets bigger, it worked fine to just do a box corner on the small one, you know, just simple box corner without the angle because it was a smaller piece. But now you can see that this is now angled, which you need for your, because you have this angle here. And that's all you do. You cut this out and then you have your pattern. So I wanted to share this with you, you know, and then you would do the other side, and you could either fold it or you could just go through the process all over again. I mean, I probably personally would just go ahead and do this. I mean, I don't know who's really looking at the bottom of the bag, but perfectionist, you can be, you know, you can do that. So there we have it. And you would do the same thing for any size frame. If you were doing the 8-inch, you need to probably bigger piece of paper, but you do the same exact thing. And I just didn't want to leave you without another option. So you can watch this over again, and it makes a lot of sense once you do it a couple times. I'm so excited to have a new little purse for my handbag, and these are just so sweet to use on a daily basis, as I did with my old one. And now I did the second one as well. It came out adorable as well, and I have a gift for a special someone, and I already have someone in mind, and that's going to be a lot of fun to give that gift. We covered making the pattern for any size frame, and then you'll have the pattern and you can make these little keepsakes. Just again, what a beautiful bridesmaid gift. What a beautiful, you know, you can make it for, you know, a bride. This is, you know, you can make it in white. I would practice a little bit first, and it was just so great to revisit this. As I said, it's been about, I think, 5 years since I've delved into this, and it was a lot of fun to come back and do this for everyone. And I really hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And if you did, please like the video. That would be great. And I hope you keep creating. Until next time, have fun out there. Bye.